So, namaste, friends. I felt like reading these two chapters that I have read already in the morning from the book Fakir. The Fakir, The Journey Continues by Ruspe Barucha. So, before I read the chapters, I would like to read a few lines about this book. Rudra, who always wanted to die but found it hard to exist, finally passes over. The all-knowing Fakir who guides him every step of the way, and Rudra embark on the journey to the higher realms of the spirit world and experience its all-encompassing magic, the magnificent power of unconditional love, wisdom, and surrender. A gripping story told with humor. It weaves in and out of the physical and astral realms, where the seeker transforms into the lover and begins to understand the ancient law of free will. The extraordinary power of human thought, choices, and intent that shape our lives in both the worlds. The Fakir reveals how complete our love for the Master is like a mighty river of light, navigating us constantly through the turbulent waters of karma, addictions, ignorance, and merging the seeker into the pure ocean of consciousness. Death is a myth. Life never ends. Ignorance does. So this is the book all about friends. I want to read this beautiful chapters wherein we know Shirdi Sai Baba. Here, Shirdi Sai Baba is speaking about lot of things. He's making this person called Rudra experience lot of things from the spirit world, because the Fakir, the first book, we speak more about Rudra's life on the physical world. Now, what happens to Rudra in the astral plane? What is he that he's learning in the astral worlds with the help of the master, guides, and the Sai Baba? So that is what we will get to learn, friends. So before I go into these chapters, I want to share about few things that happened before, so that you get to understand that about these chapters that I'm going to read. So the story starts with this this man called Kayas and his son Jihan, because it was destined that Jihan had to vacate his physical body, and how this father Kayas had accepted the death of his son is the test, is the exam for the for this person called Kayas, and he passed that exam. And we will get to know more now what happened and how he passed that exam. And what did this guy Rudra, along with the astral masters or the guides and with the help of Shirdi Sai Baba, could understand what happened to Kayas and what happened to Jihan from seeing above. So this is the story goes, friends. I want you all to close your eyes while I'm reading this to get more into it. So Rudra once again found himself back at the cottage. Rudra was with him, as though waiting for him to return. He could hear the waves so clearly, and the moonlight shone on the water, sending out dazzling rays of color. Something so beautiful, the likes of which he had never witnessed before. Certainly never when he occupied his physical body. The fragrance of the sea enveloped Rudra, and the young man sighed. From habit, he wanted to make Baba a snack and a cup of a tea. I will endure your torture, my child. Come, let us eat. And once again, like magic, Rudra prepared a sandwich and tea. It was as though he was in his physical body. He was aware that all he did in the kitchen was a play of mind and heart, but it seemed so real that often Rudra forgot that he was in the spirit plane and all that transpired was not real. Baba and he sat on the veranda, and like the old times, they shared their meal and eventually had their cup of steaming hot tea. But the taste was magical, simply divine, and yet a mirage. After smoking the chillum, Baba looked at Rudra with a gleam in his eyes. Ask. I know you have forced yourself to focus on the moment and have kept the questions at bay. Now you may ask. What happened back there with Kayas and Jihan? You had told me that Jihan had to die, but he is still alive. Yes, my luminous child. Who can still cause a master indigestion with even astral food and tea? Jihan had to die. And he did die, my son. No, he didn't. He's alive. Let me explain to you how things in the spirit plane work, or better still, the demands of karma. Very often, karma has to be experienced. That is the law of nature and providence. What one has sown, one has to reap, be it in the present lifetime or the next or after 100 lifetimes. The soul is the bookkeeper of each person's thoughts, words, actions, intentions, manipulations, sacrifices, gratitude, selfless love, lust, wrath, sloth, charity, selfishness, the state of purity or impurity, everything. Each soul is a perfect bookkeeper. It keeps the karmic account, and after the individual drops his or her physical body, the individual who is made up of an individual consciousness, which in turn is made up of thought and emotion, karmic baggage, which is a sum accumulation of all karmic gain and death, and the higher consciousness, which is called the soul, along with the guides, review the previous lifetime and then set new goals and make a completely new blueprint for the next lifetime. The higher self or the soul in its pristine form only wants to love and serve and merge with the Creator. And the soul usually wants to wash off its karma at the earliest. And thus, often, the higher self of each individual, along with the guide, actually tries to pack into one lifetime as much cleansing as it can endure, so that the balance sheet is squared off to the maximum limit and the soul can move closer to its master and creator. Hence, often when things are going rough, or there is a calamity, or one feels one is being trounced by destiny and God, in reality, you are going through what you had agreed to go through and very often insisted on going through for your own growth and karmic cleansing. It's really childish to ask for a particular series of experiences and then curse heaven and God and destiny and become negative and bitter and beat the very purpose of going through that difficult experience. Negativity and anger negate that experience, and you can be rest assured that you will go through it again and again, as that is what the higher self or the soul wants. And remember, you in the higher form are the soul, and thus that is what you actually wanted when you were in the spirit plane in front of the council of guides and masters. So imagine you have asked to go through the experience of failure and you want to experience failure with grace. After giving your best effort and never stopping from continuing to give your best effort with a smile. This is what you wanted to learn when on earth, as you feel this is one of the areas you have to succeed for your soul to move closer to the creator. So, when in the spirit plane you were planning what you have to go through, failure, while on earth, in this particular incarnation, was something you insisted and agreed upon. Now, on earth, you have forgotten, but not your higher self. Your soul never forgets. And then you begin to experience failure, and slowly you become bitter, angry, negative, and you stop trying hard. And you keep blaming your destiny or the stars or your God or your loved ones. Tell me, son, where does God figure in this? The Creator has given you free will, and you, in the higher dimension, chose this experience for your own soul's progress. Now, to complain or moan or groan or abuse destiny or God is foolish. It's childish, especially when your motive to come down was to experience failure with a smile and to never ever stop trying. So, what happens? You have become bitter and negative and groaner. The soul doesn't want you to lose this lifetime too. So, till you don't learn how to handle failure with class and grace while giving your 100%, experiences of failure will be repeated. Sometimes one entire lifetime is devoted to an experience and overcoming a particular state of existence. Thus, you may keep failing so that never in another lifetime will failure be a hindrance for your soul's progress. Though in another lifetime, overcoming anger or lust or sloth may be the main agenda. Some choose various experiences so that their growth is enhanced. Some choose various experiences so that to overcome failure and wrath in one lifetime. It is a tough call, but made by you and your higher self alone. If you don't overcome what you have come down for, it's a waste of your time. And trust me, when you return, you will come down once again to reappear for the same paper. But the questions will have become slightly more difficult. Again, if you don't succeed in your main agenda, back you come again till you can face failure or anger or lust, etc., with a smile and grace. So, we come to Kayas and Jihan. The little boy had to die. It was destined. The father had to go through a tough examination as it was time for him to move up the spiritual ladder. It was a test for Kayas to go through the experience of his son's death with grace and for the son to experience death. The son and the father did experience death, my child. If you remember, they were taken in the spirit body to Sarkar Magdum Shah's Dargah. They were both put into the holy tomb. The tomb was covered. You are put into a tomb or a coffin only when you leave your physical body, my son. The father experienced the son's passing over, and so did the son's experience his own passing over, or as you on earth say, experienced his own death. But of course, being so young, he don't remember the dream. But the father never forgot. They both experienced passing over. So the law of karma was respected. The law of karma basically wants each one to go through the experience, whether it is in the physical plane or the dream state, doesn't really matter, as both these states are different forms of realities or illusions. The law of karma only wants the individual to go through the experience. So if you had to go through the experience of an accident, but your master thinks you no longer need to go through the experience in the physical state, then your master makes you go through the experience in the dream state. The dream is as real as being in the physical plane. You go through the same experience, but with the master's help or the grace, he has saved you from going through the experience in the physical world. What you saw for Jihan and Kayas was the master's grace. Jihan did leave his physical body. Kayas did go through his son demise, but all this was in the astral world. Now, we come to what was Kayas' test. Simple. We wanted to see how detached he has really become. Was he really detached or did he think he was detached? And to test each child, one needs to put him or her in front of his or her greatest weakness. If person's weakness is money, why would he or she be tested with sex or food? The person will be tested according to his or her weakness and not according to his or her strengths or indifferences. A person who has a weakness for sex will be tested in that department. This same person might be completely over the greed for money in some previous lifetime, but may have come down to work on this weakness for sex or physical intimacy. So this child will be tested in this aspect. Jihan was his father's weakness. Kayas cares nothing for money or power or fame or anything else. His children are his weakness. We tested him in this area of weakness, his love for his children, and we made him realize his son was to leave his physical body. We wanted to see how he would react and behave and conduct himself, knowing that his son was going to leave his body. Would he break down? Would he plead for his son's life? Would he pray that his son lives? Would he curse God and Master? Would he abuse the doctors? Would he shut and scream in frustration and disbelief? Or would he silently leave all this to Master and pray that his Master's will be done? Would he make us proud or would he make us sigh? This was an important test. We put each individual through such tests. Why? Because that is what the individual has desired while in the spirit plane, to be put through various experiences and tests, thus to progress faster, thus making a particular lifetime a success spiritually. Rest assured, higher one spirituality, tougher the test. Do you really think this is the last test your friend and my child Kayas has been put through? Oh no, 3 years from now, his greatest test is awaiting him. The test of being separated from his children and not being able to see them, communicate with them, hold them, even talk to them for 10 years, and to give them up with grace and absolutely no anger or bitterness towards his spouse or those who manipulated the situation. And I'll be asking him not to fight for his children, as that will emotionally and psychologically harm them for life. Will Kayas listen? Then will he give them up with grace and positive surrender? Then will he remain free of hate and anger for 10 years? Will he still love his children, knowing that his daughter has been brainwashed to hate him? Will he be able to start afresh? Will he be able to love another child the way he loves Jihan and Praveshi? Will he? That is up to Kayas. That is up to each individual. Each individual is tested according to their karmic blueprint. Sometimes the soul is made to go through trying times to become an inspiration to others, to show others what real love for the Master is. Life is a series of experiences and tests and rewards, all tuned together to be made into a garland for the Master. Now it's up to each individual to either make the garland of beautiful flowers or thorns. Very often, the greatest test is to be in the state of acceptance. Kayas accepted my will, but often my children won't want to accept. They will try everything to prevent the inevitable. The Master is the most tender of all mothers. Often this tenderness is called upon, and sometimes what transpires is not good in the larger scheme of things. Come, I will show you a family where each one is going through various issues, all because they didn't want to let go. Come on, shut your astral mouth, which has been ajar for too long, and let's move. Rudra smiled, but with apprehension. He didn't want to go through another harrowing experience with somebody else he loved. Of course, you know this family. Rest assured, I will only take you to those whom you love and who loved you. Thanks, Baba. You are a big help in these matters. I'm here to please my son. I'm here to please. Yeah, sure. Very funny, old man. Stop chuckling. In the astral world, it sounds airy. The first and the foremost, I'm taking you back 7 years. You know the Benegil family? Rutra sighed. Yes, he knew the Benegil family and he was very close to them. There wasn't much communication between them, but he did truly love them. They had gone through a lot of hardship, and Rudra had tried his best to be of help to them. They were one of the few families who had stood by Rudra during his time of need. Also, they loved Rudra's son and were as heartbroken as when the 7-year-old was taken away from the father, as Rudra was himself. Rudra knew what was coming. The experience he had shared with them was so bizarre that he had rarely spoken about it to anybody. He was sure to those he did speak about it, they must have thought him loony or high on weed. Okay, son, I'm sending you back into what you on earth called the past. For us, it's a reality happening in another dimension. Rudra nodded. He preferred things on earth. You had the past, present, and future. You couldn't keep switching on and off. These dimensions were spooky. My disgruntled son, who can make the heavens weep with his inane logic, even on earth, for most people, the past, the present, and the future are so entwined that it is difficult to really be sure which dimension the individual is operating from. Most people are reacting or acting out past conditioning. Most people are reacting to a situation based on the past or their upbringing, be in fear of darkness or be it conditioned mindsets. The individual is in the grip of the past. Two people who have known each other for years, who know the mindset of each other, shadow box with each other, keeping the past in mind. He said this to me 5 years earlier, thus I can no longer trust him. Or she spoke behind my back 20 years ago, and since then I'm very careful what I speak to her or in front of her. Or I can't help it, I'm suspicious by nature, or angry, or jealous, or scared. What do you think you're doing? You're in the claws of the past or reliving your past, but in a more concentrated manner. You have taken one incident and have based your entire relationship on that one incident. How many give the benefit of doubt to an individual? Maybe that individual has outgrown the habit of anger or gossiping. How many people let go of anger or hate or revenge or hurt? Not many. That only means you are carrying the past into your present. Yes, it is important that you learn from mistakes and experiences, but most people don't learn. They just become bitter or wary or conditioned. How many people want to start afresh, really put away their weaknesses or let go of their past conditioning? Past life conditioning or your childhood conditioning rule your present moment and your future. And who knows, if you don't drop it soon, you will allow your next life too to be ruled by such a mindset. Remember, mental conditioning accompanies one even after one has dropped his or her body. Imagine taking prejudices and fear to your next lifetime. If you don't overcome your fear of water or fire or snakes or turbaned men or women clad in a burqa or priests or dogs or darkness or whatever, you will take the fear into your next life. Now, who is taking the past into the future, my son? You are taking your past life conditioning into not only your present lifetime, but into your future lifetimes as well. That is why one needs to work on whatever issues prevent you from breathing peacefully and prevent you from soaring with happiness or chain you up from really enjoying life or making your master proud of you. One needs to work on these issues at the earliest. If somebody has an issue of anger, and if you don't work on it now, you will keep coming back with the issue of anger in a more accentuated form. You will keep hurting yourself and your loved ones with harsh words and flashes of verbal and even physical abuse. You will keep adding your karmas on the wrong side of the balance sheet. Imagine for lifetimes you're caught up in a web of karmic entanglement only because you can't keep your mouth shut or your tongue still. You are caught up with the past life conditioning which you have brought into your present life. And if you don't work on it now, then you will come back with it in a more aggravated form in your next lifetime and your next and your next. Imagine being caught in a maze of angry vibrations and lifetimes. Is not this hell? Simply because you just can't let go of anger. So, my son, most children on earth are reliving the past. They rarely live in the present. Of course, like the past, more are also living in the future. Their present actions and thoughts are based on what they perceive will happen in the future. Don't trust this man. In the future, he might turn against us and use all this against us. What have you done? You have based all your present actions on the future. Parents spoil their children with too much pampering, with the logic that anyway, once he or she is big, life is going to be rough on them. Or my daughter will get married, and then who will pamper her at her in law's place? Or parents become rigid and fanatically strict as they don't want their children to be spoiled brats in the future. So they make the present moment a living hell for the child. What are we doing if not living in the future? Yes, learn from your past and prepare for your future, but live in the present. That is why, son, we believe that most on earth are caught up either in the past or the future and rarely address the present moment. Rarely do you all on earth savor the juice of the present moment, which is where the nectar of the gods reside. Most often, you are all in search of something that doesn't exist, or if it exists, it does so within you, like the musk deer who roams the forest frantically in search of the fragrance of musk, little realizing that the beautiful fragrance emits from its own body. Do you know the most divine nectar, which is the most intoxicating and a million times more potent than any drink or drug in the world, actually exists within each individual? No, I'm not talking metaphorically. I really mean the nectar exists. Why do you think yogis spend so much time in meditation, prayer, and yoga? It is through meditation, prayer, and yoga that you create a situation where you can taste the drop of nirvana, actually, taste the drop of nectar. And once you taste that drop of nectar, son, you are possessed by the need to keep visiting that zone of bliss and keep on partaking from the stream of divinity which actually flows within each human being. But like the musk deer, instead of focusing within, trying to create a situation where the nectar drop is released and you can taste it, is actually taste the drop of nirvana, you all run frantically from situation to situation, karma to karma, all in search of something which anyway is very transcendental. That is why the human race amazes us. It has everything, but still has nothing. Most humans are never satisfied with their lot. Never ever. Yes, beta, through the process of meditation and breathing and certain yogic exercises, you can release the nectar from within the deep recesses of the lotus that resides within and taste the drop of nectar, sweetest honey that then transforms the mundane into the surreal and envelops you in a state of bliss and lightness and light. The drop of nectar really exists. That is what yogis keep searching for. And once they taste it, want nothing else. Of course, they take it to another level. Many don't even want God after that, as they got besotted by the euphoric state. This nectar envelops them in. Anyway, now you move on to the Benegal family, who are there too. So have a good time, beta, and you look sweet in your short hair, but I prefer you with those long curls. Rudra shut his eyes, but could hear the sweet chuckle of Baba all the way through to the past. Rudra found himself in a small room. The room was well lit. It was very quiet. The rays of the calm sun streamed in through the only window in the room. Rudra realized that this was a one room house. Small home, but very well kept and tidy. The time was 10:30. Rudra saw his friend Ethan saying his prayers. Ethan de Costa, another old friend of Rudra's, who was an enigma to most. But for Rudra, he was a man just fighting too many demons. Often Ethan, Rudra, and Kaz would meet up in Rudra's home to have cups of tea and listen to soft rock of Leonard Cohen or Neil Diamond or Kishore Kumar, whatever the mood demanded, along with a continuous flow of cigarettes, often not always filled only with nicotine. Those were good days, Rudra sighed. Rudra sat by Ethan, who was deep in prayer. A train passed by, and Rudra realized that this one room home was not even 10 feet away from the railway tracks. And then he knew where he was. He was at Ethan's in laws. Ethan's heart wasn't in the prayer. He was praying, but Rudra could sense that his vibration had too many dark areas. Also, unlike Kayas, when Ethan prayed, there was no entry or presence of either masters or guardian angels or guides. There was no light emitting from Ethan, moving skywards, which meant only one thing: Ethan was saying his prayers without feeling or focus. Ethan kept the prayer book down and sighed. It was a sigh of a man who knew that his heart wasn't into prayer. Ethan looked up at the photograph of Jesus and Mother Mary. So sorry, just can't focus. Really want to pray, but just can't focus. I'm so sorry. And suddenly, the transformation took place. Ethan's aura began to heal, and Rudra stood up, for he felt and then saw the presence of Lord Jesus in the room. The aura was serene, bright, and beautiful beyond description. The Lord blessed Ethan, but all the while the latter kept talking to Jesus Christ. After a few seconds, Ethan could not speak. Obviously, his aura felt the presence of Jesus Christ, and with the healing of the aura, Ethan shut his eyes and breathed in deep and slowly. Rudra observed Lord Jesus heal Ethan, and then, as silently and beautifully as he had entered, the Holy Spirit left the room. Rudra could breathe in the divinity in his fragrance. It was a moment that was peacefully surreal. For a while, Ethan remained in deep meditation. It was an unconscious reflex of the body, mind, soul to move into the state of meditation when the aura has been blessed and thus cleansed by the master. For a long while, Ethan sat in this state. Rudra, still not sure what to do and still not clear about what he had to learn, was sure of only one thing. The last time Rudra had met Ethan, his friend was hale and hearty. In fact, too hale and hearty and in love with 6 women, all at the same time, each woman oblivious of the other's presence. And the most bizarre part of it all was that Ethan loved them all. And what was more bizarre was that there was not a bone of lust in the man. He genuinely loved women, and he could love many, and still, in a strange way, mean his love for them all. Rudra smiled. Rudra then saw Ethan open his eyes and begin to massage his neck. Rudra could see the energy flow from the base of Ethan's seat right up to the crown of his head, the flow of Kundalini. Obviously, what had taken place was clear. Lord Jesus had cleared his friend's energy channels or chakras, and thus the flow of Kundalini energy or the flow of divinity and spiritual force had begun to make its way from the root chakra, where the dormant energy resided, based where the legs apart or near the crotch, and move upwards towards the crown chakra or the crown of the head, where the merger between Shiv and Shakti or yin and yang or male energy and female energy or god and goddess energy took place, and the soul became one with the cosmic oneness, or the soul swam in the same current as the Supreme One, and thus the soul and the Supreme One, the numero uno, the big cigar or God, became one. But the Kundalini energy moved up slowly and beautifully, and Ethan wasn't prepared for this euphoric flow of energy. He felt lightheaded and experienced discomfort around the shoulders, neck, and head. Hence, he lay down on the sofa and in moments was fast asleep. The last thing his friend did was to check the time. It was 11. For a while, Ethan lay on the sofa trying his best to fight off sleep. Slowly, his breathing and his aura calmed down, and after a while, Rudra saw his friend's spirit body rise and sit up. Ethan sat up and looked around and then looked towards Rudra. But obviously, he couldn't see Rudra, as Rudra had not been present when this episode had transpired a good 10 years prior. Ethan began to move out of the room, and Rudra followed. And in less than a second, Rudra found himself in an operating theatre. Baba was already present. Master Ram Thakur was present too. Rudra sensed the presence of Master Jesus, Swamiji, one of the most powerful mediums of Ma Mukambika Devi, was present too. The masters formed the inner circle, and the outer circle was made up of innumerable spirits. They made way for Ethan to move towards a body, on which doctors seemed to be frantically working. Ethan, even in an astral state, was a little confused and in awe. The poor chap had been a moment ago sitting calmly on a sofa in a one-bedroom apartment, minding his business, and moments later, he was in an operating theatre filled with masters and various spirits in strange colored robes. Rudra smiled. He knew what was going to happen. Ethan had spoken about this incident a few times, and always Rudra had made fun of the man. Wow, his friend had really gone through this out of body experience. And then it began. Baba sent a thought wave to Ethan. Ethan rolled his eyes. He refused. Baba smiled and again sent the thought wave to the young man. Rudra could hear the thought wave. He couldn't help but control his laughter. The message was very clear, but to a normal man, it would be insane. Beta, remove the heart of this child lying on the bed. Holy smoke! I'm not going to remove anybody's heart. Though Ethan was in the astral plane, his conscious mind kept resisting this experience. And thus, even in the astral plane, Ethan could think, Beta, remove the heart of, or this child will die. This child is 80 years old. I'm not going to remove anybody's heart. And why don't I wake up from this crazy dream? You aren't in a dream state, son. This is as real as anything you have experienced ever in your life. I want you to remove this child's heart. Oh yeah, Baba. And how am I and how am I to remove her heart? With a fork and knife or my bare hands? Son, I'm not telling you to remove her physical heart, but the astral heart, son. As you aren't in the physical plane, can you see her heart? And Rudra looked close, and he saw the old lady's physical body floating over. It was her astral body. The heart was badly damaged as there was a dark aura covering it. Barely a small part of the heart had a healthy aura. Ethan nodded. Yes, I can see her body, and there is another body with various colors covering it. Am I really in the astral plane, or is this another sick dream? No more nachos for breakfast, for sure. All the spirit bodies present began to smile. Yes, they were doing their healing and their prayers and sending positive energy, but they had their sense of humor very intact. Beta, time is of the essence. Remove her heart. Just imagine and visualize yourself moving her heart. Do it. So Ethan took in a deep breath, metaphorically speaking, put his hand into the astral body, though it seemed he had put his hand through her physical body too, and removed the old woman's heart. Oh God, I'm a sicko. No, son, there is nothing sick about you. Now take the heart to your mouth. Oh, that's gross, man. Ethan, wake up. This is gross. I'm a pervert. Oh, sweet Jesus and Mother Mary, I can't have a thing for old women. And that too in this manner? No, 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 no. Wake up, Ethan. Up, boy. Rudra began to laugh. Everybody in the room was smiling. It was obvious that Ethan felt this was a subconscious dream of his mind and not comprehending that this wasn't his dream but an astral experience where major out of body healing was taking place. Ethan kept resisting. Son, we want you to take the heart to your mouth and suck out the fluid, which, if not sucked out, will eventually lead to this child's passing over to the spirit plane. Time is the essence. So So do as you are directed, my child, but remember, don't swallow the fluid. Remove the spirit in this container. There was so much tenderness in Baba's words, sent through the medium of thought waves, that Ethan bowed and nodded. Ethan put the heart to his mouth and sucked, and then tilted his head and poured out the dark energy that flowed into a container held by a spirit guide. Again, son, till I tell you to stop. So Ethan kept doing so till Baba told him to stop. Now open your mouth. We are going to pour a liquid which I want you to rinse your mouth with and then remove it too into the same container. Another spirit guide stood forward and poured some liquid into Ethan's mouth. Ethan did as he was told. Again, the liquid was poured once more. Now, son, put the heart back. Good. Now give this child healing. Put your hand forward, palms facing her heart, and imagine healing energy pouring into her. Pray that she gets healed and gets better. Good. Rudra saw beautiful light emitting from Ethan's hands and entering the old woman's heart. And lo and behold, Rudra realized that the heart's aura had become so much better. Yes, a part of the heart was still damaged, but there was more than 50% improvement in the heart area. Now, nearly half the heart seemed to be radiating a healthy aura compared to 1/10 of the heart before the astral surgery. The masters nodded to Ethan, and Ethan nodded back. Don't worry, son. All will be perfectly clear. Don't worry. We are with you always. God bless. And in less than a second, Ethan was back into his body, and Rudra was back in the small room with the large window which was adjacent to the railway track. The time was 12:30. The phone was ringing. For a while, Ethan settled more comfortably into his body, and then slowly the vibrations of the sound of the phone ring began to disturb Ethan's aura and slowly penetrate more deeply into Ethan's body. From the time the sound waves touched Ethan's aura, there was no way the man could have slept anymore. Ethan woke up and looked about. He then stared at the phone, still not comprehending where he was. It was only when the phone continued to ring incessantly that Ethan stumbled out of the long sofa with one hand on his back. He picked up the receiver. Yeah, Ethan here? Ethan, where are you? At home. Why? Bennigal's mother is serious, but she was much better yesterday. True, but today things got very bad and the doctors have given up hope. Benegal is distraught. He had been trying to get in touch with you for over an hour. Please call him. Okay, man. Ethan, by the way, are we putting the mag online today or tomorrow? You shoeface, don't tell me you haven't finished your work. I will personally castrate you. Film it and then put it online for our readers to see what angry editors are capable of. Complete the work in an hour, or I'll make sure that you aren't capable of producing a small demented offspring to infest Mother's Earth. Okay, okay, we'll have your ghastly magazine ready by the time you pollute the office with your presence. Ethan smiled and put the receiver down, but Rudra knew his friend was still in a daze. Obviously, the astral travel and auric surgery had sort of left him drained and confused. Ethan dialed another number, waited for a response. Hi, Amit. Ethan, thank God you called. Where are you? I'm sorry, Amit. I thought mom was well. No, she was well till last night. Even today, till 10:30, she was fine. A few minutes after 10:30, suddenly she couldn't breathe and her monitor began to show she was sinking. Around 11, things began to get very complicated. It was then that Ethan stood upright. Wait, don't tell me anything. Let me tell you my dream first, okay? Sure, Ethan. So Ethan described to his friend and publisher the weird dream he had experienced. Now tell me how your mother is. My God, Ethan, I can't believe it. Let me tell you what happened. At 11, mom was rushed into the operation theater. Before she was taken in, I was asked to sign the form, which stated that I gave permission for her to be operated upon. And if anything were to happen to mom, the hospital would not be responsible, etc. Dr. Sangvi even told me that this operation was a formality, as there was no way mom would survive either what was happening to her or the surgery. At 12:15, the doctor comes out as though in a trance and he motions me into his cabin. He then removes two glasses, pours two fingers of scotch into each, passes one glass to me, and before it reaches me, swallows his scotch and already begins to refill his glass. And then he tells me, Benegal, today, for the first time, I have seen a miracle. Then begins to tell me what happened. My mom's heart had been damaged since many years. It has been operating only on 20% capacity. Since a few days from 20%, it has dropped to 17%. At 10:30 or so, the heart got further damaged, and it was generally feared that now its capacity was slowly dying, and that by the time they would take her into the operation theater and begin to pump medicines or even operate her, mom would be no more. At around 11:15, they rushed her in. The doctors entered ready to shut the case, as all this was mere formality, and suddenly things started to shift all on their own. He told me that nobody could believe what was happening. First and foremost, the monitors, which were showing doom and death, suddenly began to realign and slowly inched their graphs towards normalcy. 2 days ago, mom's heart was functioning at 17%. Suddenly, the monitor showed her heart functioning at 47%, a 30% improvement virtually overnight, and that too in a woman of 80 without any treatment or medication or operation. First and foremost, they thought the monitors were not working. They reset them and now they showed 49% heart function. He restarted the monitors, still 49%. And mom's blood pressure, sugar level, everything was moving back down south towards normalcy. Your dream and the time and the mom being rushed into the operation theater and everything working out. And instead of her dying, she's regaining her health and her heart. Speak only of a miracle. Remember, she used to keep telling you that we are all connected in our past lives. Remember? Come to the hospital soon. I really want to hug you tight and thank you. Ethan put the receiver down. He walked towards the sofa, sat on it, and then lay down. He shut his eyes. All this wasn't happening. He was still dreaming and would wake up, and all this auric nonsense would be over, and he would be back to where he was, sane and stupid all at the same time. Rudra watched his friend shut his eyes, and in less than the speed of thought, Rudra was back in his cabin, in front of Baba, who was gazing calmly at the sea. So, my son, what did you learn? That you folks have gory ways of operating people. Why did you make the poor chap suck at the heart and do all the stuff? I mean, come on, Baba, we are in the 21st century. Baba smiled and took a deep puff from his chillum. Now, back to your friends. So, what do you think? What do I think? I think you should have a more dignified way of doing auric surgery. And why was my friend used for the operation? I have no idea whatsoever. Remember, this took place 4.5 years ago. You asked me why the old lady was saved and why your friend needed to save the old lady. Well, let me explain. Or would you like to see it? You explain it to me, Baba. I'll explain and you will see it. In another lifetime, Ethan and Benegal were neighbors. They were not very rich, but both of them were noble and simple people. The mother of Benegal was an old man who had brought up Benegal from childhood. Benegal in that lifetime had lost his parents when he was very young. So the old man, who in this lifetime is his mother, took compassion on this child and brought him up. Ethan was much younger to Benegal and was treated like a very young brother. Ethan used to work for an eccentric artist, and in return for the knowledge that the guru would impart, Ethan used to take care of the house and the Guru's household needs. Ethan was a Hindu by birth, and the artist, his teacher, a Christian. One day, Ethan fell very ill. The artist was traveling. So Benegal and the old man, who now is the old mother, took care of Ethan. He was very ill and in all probability would have died had the old man and Benegal not nursed him and given him a new life. When Ethan got well, he was too weak to work. The artist returned and saw Ethan so weak that he took Ethan along with him to a climate that suited the young man. As the artist now looked upon Ethan as his son too, Ethan left and they never returned. Benegal missed his friend, but the old man got bitter and angry. He thought Ethan had shown ingratitude. He could have returned when better, and he could have also have served him, the old man, when the old man needed him later on his life. Benegal kept trying to appease the old man, but the old man, till his last breath, never forgave Ethan. It was as though the old man wanted gratitude. Before the old man died, Benegal promised the old man that in some lifetime he and Ethan would repay their debt to him. The old man had grudgingly accepted this promise as though it was his right. He was a good man, but he became like a businessman where emotions were concerned. Now the old man became Benegal's mother. Ethan became Benegal's confidant and greatest well wisher. Well, the cravings of the last lifetime were still pending to be fulfilled. The old man now, Benegal's mother, was going to die. Karmically, a promise made in the previous lifetime still needed to be fulfilled, and thus Ethan had to play his part, and so did Benegal. Ethan had to personally save the mother and did so in the astral plane. Benegal did so with his fervent prayers. He prayed, and Ethan did the needful. The old man's desire and anger and want of the past life to be taken care of and paid back for his kindness was translated through the extension of life by a few years. Karmically, all dues were paid. Now, I want you to go to the Benegal household and see what's happening. You saw what happened a few years ago. Now you see what's happening at this moment, 4.5 years after the auric surgery. Rudra nodded and shut his eyes, and the very next moment he was in the Benegal home. He saw the old woman gasping for breath. Baba was already present along with other guides and spirit council. He was always amazed at the way the spirit world operated. They were always around us. Whenever we called out in the earnest, they were present, healing and energizing, loving, nurturing, and consoling. Rudra felt one with the old woman. A deep sense of compassion filled his very soul. It was as though he was going through the pain of the old woman. She called out to Ram Thakur with so much intensity that the Holy Spirit of the Master too materialized. The doctor came in and immediately advised hospitalization. In a short while, Rudra was with the old woman in the intensive care unit. Benegal began to make calls. He was going through a severe financial crunch. With Baba's grace, he could organize the money. Rudra sat by the old woman. She was suffering tremendously. She was gasping for breath. Her chest actually rattled when she tried to take in air. Tears kept pouring out of her eyes and running down her sunken cheeks. She was in agony. Benegal sat by his mother and held her hand. Pray that I go, beta. I can't take this anymore. I wish I had gone 5 years ago. It would have saved me from so much suffering. I can't take this pain anymore, beta. I can't. Saying this, the old woman began to sob. In another instant, Rudra found himself back with Baba in their cabin. For a while he gazed at the sea. It was a beautiful day, the sky overcast with clouds and perfect for a stroll on the beach. But Rudra's mind was with the old woman and Benegal. Come, let us walk by the water. Rudra followed Baba. The beach was deserted. They were the only souls on the beach. Actually, they were the only souls on the beach, Rudra mused. Since the time her karmic debt has been repaid by Ethan and Benegal, this child has gone to the hospital more than a dozen times, and slowly she has lost the power to enjoy life. All things that matter to her have slipped away. Her evening walks with her friends have stopped. She has witnessed her children slowly move away from her. Her eldest son barely acknowledges her. The younger son takes care of her, the child you know as Benegal. She has seen the financial crisis of her son and his ill health. This is his last sojourn on earth, and thus his cleansing is severe. Not a day passes by when the old woman doesn't wish herself dead. She wishes she had died that day when her heart had nearly stopped, but through some miracle had not only been revived but rejuvenated. She wonders why the miracle took place and wishes it hadn't. Of course, she is suffering because she wanted her pound of gratitude and desired a repayment for her noble deeds to that young boy, whom we know now as Ethan. But who was the boy who worked for the Christian artist in her lifetime? She had taken care of Ethan in her past life and wanted to be acknowledged and repaid. She has been repaid, but in this lifetime, when she least wanted the repayment, she would have preferred to pass over 5 years ago, but she had demanded repayment, so she got it. There is a strange irony and humor where karma is concerned. Life for life, where death, as you call passing over, is most desired. That is why, son, we always advise not to crave or yearn or want anything so desperately that they have to come back to experience it and then so often suffer because of the want. If in that lifetime she had to let go the desperate need to be served and to be shown repayment of gratitude, she would have moved on and these past few years would have been avoided. When you leave all to the master, then you will have disconnected all karmic bonds with all and with all situations. But when you crave and hurt and want and demand and pray for things, material or emotional, then karmic repayment becomes compulsory. Like I had told you, if you were to loan money to somebody, and even if not repaid, you were to hold no grudge or longing for the overdue payment, then you have disconnected from the karmic give and take. You don't have to come to collect and often collect in situations which may backfire on you and your well being. But if you crave till the end, or haven't let go of the loan, or the hurt, or the anger, or the grief, or the revenge, or the wants, then you come back to collect. And often that itself makes you go through situations where more karma is added to your balance sheet. In the past 4.5 years, this old woman has created so much new karma for which a lifetime again won't be enough to nullify. Just in the last 4.5 years, which were extended because of her need to be served and repaid from another lifetime, doesn't mean when somebody is ill, you don't do your best for that individual. Yes, you do all that is possible to treat the ailment and help your loved one, but you leave the result to the master or the God. So many times, family members have prayed and have dipped into their karmic balance sheet to save their loved ones, even though the latter's time was up. But who has seen the future except us masters? You might save the individual through prayer, but then life becomes a living hell for the saved person, as he or she may suffer each day and die each day, but still be in a physical plane. We advise that pray to your master to do whatever is best for the ailing loved one. Pray for the well being and welfare and overall good for your loved ones. That shows real love. Pulling a person out of a jaws of death just so that your loved one is near you, may you adverse ramifications And I am not only talking about physical suffering. So, yes, pray for the longevity of your loved one, but always pray for what is the best for the person's overall well being, the overall good for the soul's progress, and then leave the final decision in your master's hand. Keeping your loved one in the safe keeping of the master. This soul, this old woman will live for another year. More suffering, more karma, all because the person couldn't let go of a noble deed and wanted gratification. It is only when you love selflessly, it is only when you love selflessly that such karmic bonds don't come back to haunt you. As you often say to your friends, don't let your goodness come back to bite you in the arse. Selfish goodness always does come back to bite a good piece of your posterior. When you love, do so selflessly. Otherwise, don't love. It's all business. So, the last message of this is, friends, from this chapter. That is why, son, we always advise people not to crave or yearn or want anything so desperately that they have to come back to experience it and then so often suffer because of that want. So, this is the beautiful lessons that we have read today, friends. From this chapter, we have known the karmic lessons, how the karma works, and how in dreams we experience lot of things, and what is astral surgery, and how does the masters work, and how they support us, and how we have to be in the physical plane. So these are all the lessons that we have learned today, friends. And at the end, we are all meditators and we have chosen the path of meditation. The meditation helps us to understand that whatever we are undergoing, whatever the situations we are going through, these are the lessons that we have decided for our own selves. So accept it gracefully with a beautiful smile. Accept it. When you accept it with grace, then there is no suffering. You have passed your test. So, friends, please meditate more so that we gain this understanding and share about the meditation so that everybody, we all should become free. We don't want to be trapped in our own illusions. We all want to be free. And to become free, meditation is one of the simplest ways. So thank you so much, friends, for being there with me and listening to this. If you find it really helpful, please share this message to your friends and family so that they can benefit from this teachings. And for the friends who have asked, please go through these books. These are the two books. The first book is the Fakir. It's written by Rusbe Barucha. And the second book, which we are reading now, is the Fakir, The Journey Continues. So the first book speaks about what happens to this guy called Rudra in the physical plane. And the second book speaks about death is a myth. There is no death. So we will get to learn about all these things, friends. So please get these books, read these books, because it is very important that we read these kind of books so that we can understand more about life and we can live to the life to the fullest. Yeah. So thank you so much, friends, and namaste to all. And keep smiling, keep loving yourself, and take care of yourself, and keep meditating and keep sharing about meditation, friends. Thank you so much, and namaste to all. Bye bye.